So, so let me tell you a story. My, every day I wake up and I have a routine, right? Everybody has a routine. My routine, if it gets messed up, I have a really bad day. Today was one of those days. So my routine is I wake up, I take a shower, and I feed my dog, and then I go and on my way to work, I get a coffee from my wife who works at the coffee shop, and I stop and get
Oh, that's adorable.
I
I didn't
stop and
know.
Yeah,
get
so far so good.
yeah, I stop and I get a really big giant water from this convenience store. And sometimes I'll get breakfast there too. Like I'll get I don't know, like one of those Hostess what are they? Oh, the coffee cake
Honey
Hostess.
bun?
No,
The honey bun?
honey
Oh,
buns are great, but the coffee cake I
dude, the
got
coffee cake ones are so
I'm an apple
good.
fritter guy. I want the apple
fire.
fritter.
Sometimes I get the apple pies. Apple fritters are great.
Apple
Anyways,
fritters are
I have a big selection, right? And so my routine when it gets messed up, my whole day is off. So I go and it's the last building before my building, which is at the end of the highway, is the convenience store that I frequent at. And I go to pull in and there's two cars facing each other with yellow tape like in and out of the car, making sure nobody could go in. All the lights are off, but there's people in the doorway. And I was like, well, I probably shouldn't go in there because all the lights are off and there's cars blocking me from getting in. So I go to work and somebody comes in. They're like, oh, did you hear that the convenience store got robbed last night? And I was like, oh, goodness. I was like, was somebody in there? And like, no, it was like in the middle of the night. So listen to how do I say this nicely? Incredibly stupid this criminal was. So what they did was they waited until the wee hours of the morning. They went up to the glass door and they shot it out with a gun.
Yeah, nice and conspicuous.
Conspicuous,
I like
right? They shot it out. What's the first thing you're going for if you rob a convenience store at night?
the register.
Well, register won't have any money in it.
Maybe the safe, maybe the register. Granted, it's pretty known in town that this place doesn't have cameras. So they probably knew it didn't have cameras. So they probably knew they had a good amount of time. So maybe you take, some food. I don't know, and go for money. They didn't touch anything except for electronic cigarettes and vape cartridges.
Oh, I know why too. That makes sense.
Why?
Because they're about to ban all flavored tobacco cigarettes and like menthol cigarettes and cigars, and I think vapes too.
This guy's an entrepreneur.
So
he's about to make some money on the black market.
Exactly. So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking this guy's really dumb, and then they tell me that, and I was like, this guy's actually kind of smart, but he's still stupid. Well, or him or her or they are really stupid for shooting out the window because now the police have the bullet. He has the bullet. He found it in the shell casing.
That guy's
but it's a big glass window. Why wouldn't you just put a rock through it?
Well, did you see? I saw a video of these two guys who were trying to break into a place, and they took a brick. And they went to go.
Oh, yeah, I've seen this. Yeah,
he went to go throw it at the window, and as he threw it, his buddy stepped right in the way, and it cracked him in the head. Just
knocked him out cold. Yeah,
and he's like, "Oh no,
that's I don't know. Wait, I have seen that. I got a good one for you guys. My mom's work kept getting broken into for a while, and they were investigating it. You know how they caught the guy?
How?
This idiot was going to go fishing after he had broken into my mom's work, and he left the night crawlers that he was going fishing with at my mom's work. So they took the night crawlers. They've read the barcode, which tells you where you bought them. And so they just played back the tape at the 7-Eleven in downtown East Hampton to find
what an idiot.
Around because that barcode, you could just go back to where, you figure out where it was, and then you go back and figure out with their data when it was purchased, and then you just go pull up the camera and look, there's the guy.
He just left worms. Where was it? Where did she work?
Oh my god,
she works at a construction site. She's a concrete. I say construction, a concrete company. So she's like the office manager. I want to make sure I get that title right because I know she listens. So an office manager. She's worked there basically my entire life. No, my entire life and then some. But it's it's just it's a steel building, and then there's garage doors, and so I don't know if it was that hard to break in once upon a time,
what's there
especially
to
in the
steal?
podunk town.
Petty cash?
I don't know.
Concrete.
There was never that company has no money, so like they're always broke. So
I gotta
there wasn't anything there.
I gotta redo my stairs, get a couple bags of mortar. What a moron!
I think that's like straight out of like CSI or something. Like they use the night crawlers to catch the guy.
Yeah, that is
pretty good detective work by the
Betrayed by
East Hampton PD.
Goodness,
that is hilarious. So I guess the a life lesson to the Under 500 podcast listeners is, if you're a criminal, just be smart about it. You'll never get caught, because you get caught when you're just stupid. Anyways, that's enough.
Or you just not commit crimes.
You could not do criminal things. Just get a job.
Just as viable. Be a contributing member to the society.
Right. Get a job or collect unemployment, whatever makes you more. Don't do illegal things. So that's our lesson for the week. And this is the Under 500 podcast. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Under 500 podcast. We are in for another week of horrible sports takes and us just chilling and talking. So, Eric, as usual, I gotta write down a script for this, because sometimes I just completely forget what I said last week. And, I think our listeners want some concrete repetition or whatnot. Anyways, what do I just say? As usual,
that's what I look for in podcasts. Yeah. Concrete repetition.
Yeah.
Well, you don't look for vernacular in movies, so we don't know what you're looking for.
Burn.
I don't, and 99% of the population doesn't either. So reverse burn, Eric.
I don't understand the lack of continuity there, but okay.
Wow. Okay. Let's not delve into this right now.
This is a fun bear to poke, because it gets him so triggered. It's so easy. It's like talking about the Rams. Like, you talk about the Rams, he's like, here he comes.
Anyways, as usual, I'm joined by my other two hosts, Eric and Aaron. Eric, what is up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing really good. Those of you that are friends with me on Facebook know I just announced that my wife and I are expecting our second child in November, which I'm super excited for. I'm super, super, super excited for that. And all the craziness that comes with that. And I just had my second interview for a promotion at work, so I should find out over the next week or so if I got that. So, new baby, maybe a pay raise.
Moving up in the world, man.
You'll need the pay raise for the baby.
That would be correct. Yes.
There you go.
That would help out a lot.
That's good news. I love good news in today's world. Aaron, what's up, dude?
Good news. We do not have a third baby on the way, so that's we're all set on that front for a long time, probably forever. So we're good. Other than that, I'm chilling, man.
Nice.
Just chilling.
Nice. Oops, I didn't open up the doc. Eric, what do we? Oops, I just showed the YouTube watchers my search history.
Okay, so I wanted to start here. I was listening to the radio. No, we're just gonna keep moving past that. And I think you guys would agree, although I don't know if I could take anything seriously right now. I heard on the radio, this isn't a new stat though. I listened to like the country music morning show that's nationally syndicated. It's the Bobby Bone show. It's a pretty good show. They do a lot of ridiculous things. They tell you some weird articles and that sort of stuff. Just a normal morning show that's just kind of like part of your routine, Tyler. Like the part of my routine, because I don't really have to think, and I don't really want to think on my way to work. I just want to get to my first job, and like then my thinking begins. But anyways, they were talking about this article that came out, and I think I started Googling it, and I found a bunch of articles. Searching with Google. Sorry, a bunch of articles that came out about how your heart rate during a a sporting event, whether you're there live or watching it live, but at home, can double or triple depending on the situation and how that can have an adverse effect on your health, right? Like, you're watching a game and you're into it and your resting heart rate goes from 60 to like 180. For some people, that's a little
Yeah.
bit more dangerous than other people. So my question to start today was, what game, either that you attended live or watched on TV, do you think made your heart rate skip a beat more or take off the most?
Oh man, it'd have to be like I want to say like the Falcons game, but like it was near the end. But I know like the Seahawks and Patriots game because that game was tight the whole way, and like when they were at the 1 yard line, and it's like everyone thought they were going to hand the
With
ball off to
Marshawn
Marshawn
Lynch
and
and
score,
yeah.
right? And it's over, and so you're just like I was at the edge of my seat that whole time up until, and then when Malcolm Butler picked it off, there was a second I thought I might die. It's like my heart was like, oh, but I mean the Falcons Super Bowl too. Once you see the comeback, because at first you're like, well, they're done, they're not coming back, and then they start inching closer and closer, and you're like, wait a minute, and then they tie, and then they get a 2 point, and you're just like, it can happen, it can happen.
I looked at our friend Bobby and I said, please don't get back into this game. Just lose. Just don't bring me to the edge of my seat and get me in, get my heartstrings going just to, end up doing what I think you're going to do anyways and lose. And then they didn't. So that's not the game for me, actually.
What is it?
So I have two reasons for the one I'm about to mention. The first one is because the Red Sox had just won a World Series that year. And so I really wanted another taste of that 1-2 punch. And the second reason is because my heart rate in a like sporting event or something like that, or just in general in life, is how I psych myself in or out of it preceding it. So like, going into the Seahawks game, I just had in my head that the Patriots were going to win. And so even though they almost lost, like it was just different
Mhm.
because it wasn't like a sustained heart rate the whole time of just like melting down. But the Rams game, the Patriots Rams game, which really wasn't even that big of a game as far as they all go, but it was just a rock fight. But the Patriots had just lost the year before to the
Eagles.
Eagles. And I just like I
That
had
was a great game too.
totally psyched myself into like they have to win because I'm living in Texas and I can't deal with these people anymore. So I really wanted to stick it to them, like which was such a petty thing, but I'm telling you, my heart rate was like 180 the whole way, the whole way. Plus, I had to take that they were going to lose, and I was pretty convinced of it. So like I was a total wreck. Like I couldn't sit still. I was sweating. Like it was horrible. I could not enjoy. Let me just say I want the Patriots in every Super Bowl. I like it when they're not though too, because then I can just sit there
Can sit
and
back and
just
enjoy it.
enjoy the game.
I
Yeah.
know. It's so true. Every time they're in the Super Bowl, you're of course happy, but then it's like, well, I can't actually enjoy this until the game's over and I know we won. 'Cause you're
100%.
just freaking out the entire time. Like every like incomplete pass, you're like, oh no, they blew it. It's over. I can't believe it.
Mine
What
is
about you, Tyler?
mine is definitely it's I can't even draw it to one game because like baseball is like my sport. Like it's the sport I cherish the most. So anytime I'm watching the Red Sox and it's a close game, tied or one run ahead, one run below in the 8th and 9th inning, like my heart rate, like playoffs or not, my heart rate is like skyrocketing. Just because like for baseball for me, it's one pitch, one swing of the bat could decide the whole game. Like that's why I love walk-offs in baseball. It's just because like you leave one slider hanging over the plate and it's just that's the end of the game because you made a tiny mistake in the accuracy of your pitch. So yeah, anytime I watch a Red Sox game that it's close, like my heart, it goes up. I'd say the biggest one I ever had also happens to be one of the longest games of the past 20 years, which was the Red Sox Dodgers that went to almost 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh my
I went to, I
gosh.
went to I
What?
went to bed somewhere in there,
I was
and
on.
then I
I
left
worked.
work early the next day.
I was working security at the school or at the college, so I got to stay up and watch it. And the whole time, it was just it was a slugfest because they would go one up, or we would go one up, and they'd get another home
It was
run.
19 innings, right?
Yeah, and they had that Justin Turner home run that tied it up in like the whatever inning it was, I don't know, 14th. And so Yeah, that game was a consistent heart rate of like a lot the whole time.
That's what solidified Evaldi as like a stud.
Yeah.
Was that game, because he basically pitched like a normal game, but like it was innings 12-16 or
Yeah.
12-19, something like
Same
that.
thing with what's his face, Steve Pearce. He ended up being the World
Yeah.
Series MVP.
He did.
And he's nobody now.
Well, easy come, easy go.
Yeah, he's just in the right place at the right time. And all the Yankees fans said, it's because he was cheating.
Good job.
My Whittle team doesn't do too good.
Hey, so speaking of MLB, I had two thoughts. One, I will not back down from my Garrett Richards take last week, even though he ended up pitching, 7 innings and doing pretty good.
Yeah, he had a really good outing.
Yeah, one good outing. Yep. Great. Sweet. Awesome. Broken clock's right twice a day, too. So,
you love that. You love that say.
Oh, I do. There's sayings. I just did this interview and I dumped all kinds of sayings on him. The same butter that melts, the same sun that melts butter hardens clay. I dumped that one on him. I think I did pretty good with that one. It's a really great phrase, by the way.
You just like worked out every single like old man dad phrase.
Yeah,
I used a lot of actually phrases from a pastor that we used to all serve under. What is not clearly communicated will be misunderstood. That's something that Mr. Brian Spicer preached on quite a bit.
It's a good Brianism.
It is a good Brianism. But anyways,
actually, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm not saying it.
But anyways, I'm not backing down from that. And then Tyler, did you see is it Anthony Rizzo? Is that his first? I see his last name all the time. I always forget his first name. On the Cubs, he struck out somebody. He's the second baseman, right?
So all right. So I'll lay it out for you. Freddie Freeman and Anthony Rizzo the week before. Anthony Rizzo's on the Cubs. Freddie Freeman's on the Braves. The week before, they got in a little pickle from second and third. He was running in between, and Anthony Rizzo got the ball, and he starts screaming his name. He's like, Freddie! And they were both like laughing as they were running the base. So they, had an exchange just the week before or 2 weeks before, whatever. And the Cubs were losing really bad in this game that they met up in again. And Anthony Rizzo gets to go on the plate as a position pitcher, because why would you waste arms when you're getting blown out or you're blowing somebody out? And so Freddie Freeman gets up to the plate, and he gets him to a count of 3-2, and he just throws a hanging curveball like right on the outside corner of the plate, and Freddie Freeman swings for the fences and just whiffs like so bad, and immediately just starts cracking up. They both just start laughing at each other, and it's like, dude, that's kind of cool to see, I think.
Can I just say that is what will bring people to baseball more than watching people hit home runs. Like the little those gamesmanship things that you just get to have at a kind of a slower sport where you get to stare each other down a little bit longer, or like, you see the guy they play really hard to get to first base, and then they're like, timeout. Yeah, so anyways, I was sitting with my girlfriend yesterday at the bar, and like they're just yakking on about whatever. And I always think that's cool about that sport, because you don't see it in any other sport, because they're not. I think you see it sometimes in basketball when they they're going for the free throw and they're lining up next to each other. Like you see that kind of the conversations or the goofiness of it. But
a lot of stuff is said on that line.
I'm sure there is, and I'm sure a lot of it we can't say on the air.
Yeah.
So. But hockey and football, you really don't see that, because they have helmets on for one, and two, they're jarring at each other, and it really isn't anything of substance. It's just two guys going back and forth, trying to get in each other's heads so that they drop the ball or miss the puck pass or whatever.
Masculinity at its best.
That's it right there. Yeah.
Yeah, that was an awesome moment for to watch between Anthony Rizzo and Freddie Freeman.
And a not so awesome moment. I'm not sure if you've been following hockey, but the Rangers were eliminated from the playoffs in the East Division. However, in one of the games following that, they played the Washington Capitals, and it's Tom Wilson. I believe it's Tom Wilson. They got into some sort of scuffle right by the goal, and Tom Wilson like tackles one of the Rangers guys, puts him down on the ground, shoves his face into the ice, and then starts beating on the back of his his head. Now in hockey, you could beat people up, right? Like, but
Wait,
there's
wait, so he didn't have a helmet on and he was punching the dude in the
no,
back?
he had a helmet on. They both had helmet ons, but this is just there's ethical fighting and there's
Yeah.
unethical fighting in
Even in
hockey.
UFC and MMA, you're not allowed to hit the back of the head.
No, you don't. He basically pushed him down, put his knee on his head, and then beat him. Like it's
I
just
don't
like
that.
that's
Yeah,
like
that's
one of
wrong.
the NHL memes on Facebook called it attempted murder. So, anyways, the teams are rematching tonight, and the puck dropped, and everyone took their helmets off and just started brawling on the line. There have been 72
cool.
penalty minutes in the first 4 minutes and 14 seconds of this game, which is freaking
what
nuts.
other sport? What other sport
That's
can you
kinda
get that
awesome.
And
kind
just
of
so we're
entertainment?
clear, the Rangers are out of the playoffs. They have nothing to lose, and the Capitals are first place. Like, and I think they're pretty locked into first place, but there's a little bit of play there. I don't think there's much though. I think they've probably just about locked up first place. So like, this is borderline like the Rangers got nothing to lose, and the Capitals should be just resting their guys and getting ready for the playoffs. Instead, they're just beating each other's faces in and potentially
And
gonna
going
get suspended.
into that game, they were just like, we're not playing a game.
Oh yeah,
Like as
Part
soon as
of-
that
yeah.
drops, we're going to war.
yeah, 100%.
Well, the Rangers said as much because they came out and said that because Tom Wilson didn't get suspended. He got a $5,000 fine. That's it, but he didn't get suspended for that hit. And I kind of think he should have got suspended just based off of the footage of it. So the Rangers came out and said that not only should Tom Wilson be suspended indefinitely, but the player safety guy for the NHL should be fired immediately. And they released this big statement about it. So obviously the Rangers were pretty hot going into that game, and so there was probably a message sent, I think, from upstairs that said, we're not going to put up with this. I don't care who you are. You go out there and you send the message that even though we're out of the playoffs, we're not going to get pushed around like we're dogs on the ice or anything. That's what I think happened, which is legit. Like I just love that.
Yeah, that is sick.
That is, yeah. There's no other sport that you can attempt that. It's I just love that the puck drops and like we ain't playing. Gloves come off.
Oh, seriously, the puck drops.
Boys.
I think the lineman had to know it was coming because you just kind of see this look on their face, like, yeah, here we go.
Boy, they're about to go to war. Goodness. And I don't know. I think that's fun.
Oh, that is so cool. That like.
Now, I don't like that the dude's head was getting bashed in.
Yeah, that's
like,
messed up. He should be. Who bashed us? Who did that? Who's the
Tom
offender?
Wilson? He plays for the Capitals.
Yeah, he's
kind of a dirty player. The Capitals they play
'cause
kind of dirty.
Hitting the back of the head, that's how you could make someone go blind. You can really jack them up.
That's best case.
Yeah. Like that's you don't mess with the back of the head.
But I think best case would be no injuries.
Touche. But like if there was an injury, you could All right, I'll stop talking. I'm an idiot.
Stop. I'm just kidding.
I'll go I'll go sell some vapes that I robbed by shooting a
glass window
up with a shotgun. What an idiot.
No one will hear this, I swear.
It was a 9mm.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a shotgun.
Even more.
That'd be even better if it was a shotgun. Just the loudest gun you could possibly get. Bam. Is that all we got for NHL?
Yeah, that's all I really have. I just wanted to touch on that. I mean, the playoffs are about to start. The Bruins are cruising right now, which I think is good, but I think they still have some needs. We'll see what happens. I know
when do the playoffs start for NHL?
Very soon. I know they've just about wrapped up the regular season. I think the playoffs will start. I think they start in June or very late May. I think they wrap everything up within the next couple weeks and then it's over. So yeah, usually that gets going in May. It kind of follows basketball. Like both those sports typically follow
I was
each
gonna say
other.
they're gonna go side by side.
Yeah, and I'm sure basketball will have way better ratings, but truthfully the hockey games are way more intense. It's 60 minutes every game of just absolute intensity. Where basketball, I don't know, sometimes I feel like those the back-to-backs even in playoffs where they're away and they just know they're going to come home, like the home court advantage, so they play 2 games and then they lose a game and then they just wrap it up in 5 games, the courtesy sweep. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. The gentleman's sweep where they just take one off because they just don't feel like it.
Yeah, well, we'll take a break. Yeah, especially the first round. The first rounds are usually just meh. Well, if you're the 1 seed, they're usually pretty decided beforehand. All right, well then that's the NHL. Then the NFL, we had kind of had a draft that happened.
Kind of.
No big deal. only the future of the league,
Pretty
where
pretty
all of them
great.
were drafted.
A pretty good
What was your
draft.
overall takeaway from like how the draft went this year, how the offseason has gone for this year? As far as like the intensity of it, the drama of it, the fact that the NFL has still stayed relevant despite there have been no games in over 2 months.
Yeah, no, it's crazy how, I don't know if this is all like planning on the whoever does the leaks, whatever they're called, reports, like when they tell you what's happening, the official guys. But like this whole Aaron Rodgers thing that happens like the right before the draft, and then what was it, the Broncos in the first round didn't take a quarterback, and so everybody was like, oh, Aaron Rodgers is going to the Broncos, all this stuff. And I just think it was perfectly planned, or a perfect coincidence, that all this drama starts happening right before the draft. So people, because it kept me interested, if I'm being honest. Like, when the 9th pick came up and the Broncos were going to pick, I'm like, well, if they don't pick a quarterback, then they're going to try and get Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to be in Green Bay anymore. And, it's just like the NFL is king of staying relevant. Like you said, like, it just like, I don't understand why I care at all about any of these people that were drafted, because like,
But you do.
But I do big time. And I don't know why, because like a lot of them, like especially, people that come after the first round, they're not going to do anything.
Statistically, they'll be busts, or you won't always see them on the field.
Yeah. Like they're just, serviceable people that they're going to try and train.
Yeah.
Some will be on the practice squad for a little bit, and like, but
yeah, in the
I'm
draft,
still
you're like,
so interested. Like, I looked up all the teams that I care about. Like, I looked up who all their draft picks were, and I'm like, oh yeah, that was a good pick. That, like, I've never been like that with football, and it's just like,
no, that's exactly the point. Because like, in the draft, you see somebody draft a lineman, you're like, oh my gosh, they got a lineman. They've been needing a lineman. Can you believe? Oh, guys, that guy's a stud. He's from XYZ college. He
Yeah.
had blah 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 blah. He's a tackle. He's versatile. He's a big guy. You're never going to talk about a tackle the whole season. You're never going to mention his name unless he gets so many penalties that he.
That's
Yeah, exactly right.
So one time, like if you're an offensive lineman, you do not want to hear your name called. That means you did a really good job.
Yeah.
If you hear your name called, it means that you're sucking.
Yeah, I agree. I do think that by design, the football, unlike other sports, has like everything set out. So like how when the free agent becomes available, it happens X amount of days after the Super Bowl, their new year, how drafting works. Because I think like in baseball, the baseball draft happens sometime, I think, in the fall when the games are still on. So like it almost contradicts itself or competes with itself, because when the draft's on, that's it. It's either the draft or another sport, and everyone's watching the draft, and they're flipping back and forth.
Football thing you have for a long time.
Yeah, all that's by design to keep all this relevant.
Absolutely.
Now, how everything leaks in the Aaron Rodgers stuff, I'm sure there's some play in that, or how they decide to leak that, or when. But I don't know. I thought it was just an interesting draft. I thought some of the stuff that's surrounding it, not only just the Aaron Rodgers stuff, which I think is very fascinating. I don't know. Do you blame him for wanting to be out of Green Bay?
No,
probably not. I think that I did say in our first season that if he wanted to go prove that he is who he says he is, that he needs to leave Green Bay, go to another team, and do what Tom Brady did and bring him back. Because right now he is inevitably linked to the choking that has happened in Green Bay. So I get that part, but I don't know, if you're Green Bay, do you want him to leave? There's a part of me that thinks that he's such a headache and a I can't use that word, but he's such a headache to deal with. It. You know what? It might be good to put the kid in here and get this guy out of here, because he's so annoying. On the flip side, though, how can you sit there and consciously say to your fans, we're getting rid of Aaron Rodgers because he wants out, and we find that he's annoying about it, so we're just going to let him walk? Like, how do you say that?
That's how you lose a fan base.
Especially when he, it's not like he had a bad year. He's your reigning MVP.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the reigning MVP wanted to walk because we couldn't satisfy his demands. So rather than satisfying his demands, we let him walk. Like, how do you say that to a fan base?
Yeah,
it's tough, because from what it sounds like from the reports, is he just genuinely hates it there, or he's really. I mean, he's
doesn't he want somebody fired?
He wants the GM fired.
He called for the GM to be fired, and he said if none of that happens, he threatened to retire.
Yeah.
which is crazy. But I know Eric. I think we mentioned in our group chat that isn't it if he retires, he has to pay him up like $22 million.
$11 million a year. So I would
Oh
just think on
gosh.
principle. I mean, it's not that much money for him, I'm sure, but on principle, I'm not going to retire just to, what's that phrase? Don't cut off your nose to spite your face. Like, so why would he? I just did it again. It's just where I'm at today.
No, I
But
just think of the Office
Yeah,
episode.
to spider face.
To spider face. I just every time I hear that phrase, that scene pops in my head. Sorry, continue.
I'll leave the office alone because it's terrible. But
That's not leaving it alone.
you're right. It's not. See how what I did there? I still dropped my take without trying to engage you guys in it. Yeah, that's.
Keep talking.
I love that.
I don't even know what I'm talking about. Somebody else go.
All right, I got a question for you guys. Who do you think won the draft?
Oh man.
Oh, let me look.
Who do you think drafted the best? I know who I think drafted the best.
You have a clear-cut answer?
Oh yeah.
Who?
Oh, you know what? I have one.
It's between two.
You know what I think was a really, really, really good move is the Bears drafting Justin Fields.
Yeah, that was a great move.
They haven't had a legitimate quarterback in years, and by and large because of their own stupidity. So for them to do that,
they
was
could have had Mahomes.
Like, yeah, no, seriously. It said they got Mitch Trubisky. Yikes.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest all-time misses by a franchise.
Yeah, big time.
Talk about a swing and a miss.
I mean, I don't know how you live with yourself if you're the GM of that team after that. So we could have had Mahomes.
We could have had DK Metcalf.
So who do you think? Who do you think?
I think my clear cut two are the Falcons. I think they landed probably the next big thing in the tight end position. Kyle Pitts.
Oh, Kyle Pitts, yeah.
Like, dude, that he has talent. My goodness. And I don't know. I didn't even look at who else they drafted. They were safety, whoever else. But I just think off of that one pick, they did really well. For a tight end to go fourth, he has to be, that good. And I think this is gonna make some people mad. I think the Patriots might have won the draft in my mind.
Oh boy, here we go.
Everywhere that we needed to start a rebuild, we got what we needed. We have a lot of defensive guys that are on their way out. They're late in their careers. I don't ask me about Mac Jones. I just don't know. I didn't watch, I know barely anything about the guy. I know he has the body of a 40-year-old dad.
He does.
I don't think the Patriots won this draft. There's no way. Bill Belichick didn't do anything that's Bill Belichick-ish. He made the most predictable decision with his first pick that he could have possibly made. Hey, me who always drafts out and, gets the value for my picks and drafts down and gets double the amount of picks so that I could pick up a bunch of players that end up on the practice squad anyways. But hey, I won the draft. Yeah, no. You know what he did? He said, we need a quarterback and there's a quarterback on the board. So I got one. How do you win the draft? How is that a win?
What else are you supposed to do?
You just did what you were supposed to do. I don't know. I think San Fran did really well. They sent a clear message. We're having a quarterback competition. We're going to bring Justin Fields in here. And, we're going to, is it Justin Fields? Did I screw that up?
No.
Trey Lance. I'm sorry.
I was like,
no, I screwed that up. I misread this. We're going to bring in Trey Lance and we're going to have a legitimate quarterback competition because we have a team that can win now. And we're not confident that the guy that we have at the helm can win it right now.
Yeah, no, I think it's.
Dude, I don't disagree with the 49ers thing.
Garoppolo's, but
I don't disagree with that. But I just you're telling me that Bill Belichick doing what he was supposed to do was a bad thing, but in the years past when he did what he wasn't supposed to do, it was also a bad thing. So
no, I see what you're saying. I just think I don't think he did a bad thing. I just don't think he won the draft. I think he just picked up a quarterback that's a relatively a known commodity, but also an unknown commodity. He's got some good upside, but we don't know how that's going to pan out. I'll tell you this much.
An amazing pick.
I will tell you, I think he won the offseason in the sense that he spent money for the first time forever and picked up some really good talent. And they spent what, $250 million or close to that on established talent. I think that was an actual win. for the team, and I think they needed to do that. But I think that this wasn't as much a win for Bill, anyways, because I think Kraft lit a fire under his butt and said came out and
Well, he
said
said
in
earlier
public
that they hadn't drafted well in the
we
past
haven't
couple of
drafted well,
years.
yeah. So, but Tyler, I will give you this because I was saving this for this. I am all geeked up for Mac Jones. I like it. I like what I see. I want to see this guy be good. I like the fact that we have a plan that isn't named Cam Newton. Like, let's go. I'm all
I
for it.
We have him
preach
for
on
one more year. I think we can all make it through one more year. of
I can
Cam.
make it, but see, this is what I mean. We have a plan now. You know, we have a plan of, and you know what? If Cam Newton sucks real bad and the game's already out of hand, why don't we put the kid in there and see what he can do? Like, heck yeah,
You got a good
I'm
point.
totally down for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially
and I
late in
think
the season and everything's already set up and we already know what we're gonna be.
No, yeah, that's
if Cam is playing, if he keeps playing like he did last year, I say you give him like 3-4 games, and then throw Mac in there. That's what I'm doing. I'll give Cam a quarter of a season. If it's exactly the same as last year, you're not, if you keep Cam in, you're not missing the playoffs. So you might as well just throw in Mac Jones and get the kid some
right.
experience
No,
and
that's a
see
good
what he's
point.
got.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you guys, and we'll move off of the Patriots and talk about some other things. But as it relates to the Patriots, if Mac Jones is a bust, is it time for Bill Belichick to move on?
Peace. Yep. Out of here.
Yeah,
I agree.
think it is. I think he's got a, and no disrespect to him, obviously. It's like
Oh, he had his time.
still the greatest coach of all time. But there's a lifespan to everything.
Here's what I do hate about that take, even though I agree with it, is I think Bill did the most predictable thing ever, which is draft a quarterback. I just went on talking about that. So he didn't do anything that's really Billish and creative. He just did what he was supposed to do. And if it's a bust, because you don't really necessarily know for sure how they're going to
Yeah.
translate. If it's a bust, that means that his job's on the line. It's time for him to go. But on the
If they
flip
have a,
side, this
yeah, if
is
they have
Bill
another
we're
season like
talking
last
about.
year.
And
Yeah.
Bill should be able to make make Walmart cashiers, as the as the old joke goes, into star stud quarterbacks and running backs. So
Unless that was Brady who made him look good.
oof.
Oh, who
See, the
knows
thing
now, you
is
know?
like, obviously Bill had a little bit of a fire under him. There, because like, yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. He did what he was supposed to do, and I think that's why I think they did such a good job, is because he did what he was supposed to do. But he's still the GM. He's still in charge. Do you think he would have just taken some scrub of a quarterback, without doing his research and without having some sort of confidence in this kid?
I honestly think Bill doesn't really value the quarterback position as much as other GMs and head coaches in the league. I think he has a system, and I think he believes in that system. And in fairness, I believe in that system as well. I think that system got Cam Newton and the Patriots to 7-9 when that team was really a 4 or 5 win team, maybe. Like they were really, really bad, and I
They're
think
bad. It's one of the worst offenses I've ever seen.
but
Like, hands
because
down.
of Bill's system and because of who he is as a coach, I just think they got to 7 wins, and arguably they could have had more.
Oh,
Like if they didn't, screw up a couple things in the first couple games and against Kansas City, right? Like there was a
Yeah.
few opportunities here that they could have been all the way up to I think
if
even
Cam
10 and
didn't
6.
fumble that ball. What game was that against the Bills? If he
Yep.
didn't fumble there, they would have beat the Bills.
If
that
they got
game.
in versus Seattle, if they
Yeah.
weren't a no-show versus
the Seattle one, I forgot about that one.
not Buffalo, the Broncos. So like the Broncos, I felt like they should have won. That was a horrible team last year, and they just kind of didn't show up. I think that was the first week after Cam was out, and so
Yeah,
I
he had
think everything was
COVID.
in a hot mess at that point. So there's a few games here they could have been as good as 10 and 6, and it was just that they lacked enough talent on their offense. But they were 7-9 because of Bill. So I do believe in that system. But I just think that as a result of that system, there's a less of a value on the quarterback and more on the system, and that's fine because I want a system quarterback. That being said, I still think that in the league that we have today, you have to have a talented system quarterback. Like you can't just have, Joe Flacco most years. You need Joe Flacco that one year that he was like playing his boobs off in the playoffs, which was all on him. Like that guy was crazy in the playoffs.
Yeah, he hit every bomb he threw. It was nuts. Still don't get it.
So another thing I really quickly wanted to say as to why I think that they did such a good job is their last pick of the draft was Trey Nixon, He's this like I think he's like 6 foot nothing, scrawny build wide receiver that I think is going to be a great replacement for Edelman. Not as good. I don't think I could say that at all because I haven't seen him play. But I think he's somebody you can put in that position to get that, get open 5 yards down the field. Get open.
Yeah, I
5
don't
yards.
really need a big name there, but I do think it takes a couple guys to get back to where you were. Because I think that Troy Brown was the slot receiver back in the day.
That was
Or was it Deion Branch?
Well, Brown was Brady's first go-to guy.
That's what I thought too. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they drafted Deion in 2002.
I thought it was like Troy Brown was really good. I thought Wes Welker was good, but I don't remember him as much because Edelman came after him, and I just think Edelman was like the epitome of that star. So I think it took him a few guys to get from Troy Brown to Edelman, and that's okay because I don't need the next Troy Brown or Edelman right now. I just need somebody that can go 5 yards down the field.
I think
and catch the ball.
Welker was a monster for like 4 or 5 year span. I forget he had. I have to look it up. Like
my problem is I remember him dropping touchdown passes in Super Bowls. That's what I remember.
Well, by the end of his career, he had scrambled brains for eggs. But he has more catches, yards, way more yards, and touchdowns than Edelman. Like he blows his stats out of the water.
But don't forget, he did play that 1 year in Denver with Peyton Manning, where they were setting records.
That's true, but those years in Denver, he wasn't used much. His best years were in New England by far. I think he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons of over 1,000 yards and 100 catches in New England.
This is that part where we start talking about stats, and I can visually see Tyler backing out of the picture.
No, I'm just 100% right.
I'm just saying, no, because you said you don't remember Welker. Like I remember Welker playing, and like
of course you do because you love stats. I just remember the big
phenomenal.
plays, and I remember him dropping a touchdown in the Super Bowl, and that's what I remember him as. And honestly, I try and like blot out 2007. I don't care how much of a statistical awesome juggernaut that was. They lost in the Super Bowl, and I blot that out from my memory. So I don't give two poops who was on that team that year because I just want to forget about it. Like I want to forget everything about it.
I loved to me Edelman never got to where Welker was. I loved watching Welker play.
I totally disagree because it wasn't about how great it was about the clutch moments. I mean, how many times did Edelman catch a ball in big games and you're like, or the one versus the Ravens where Brady throws to Edelman, Edelman throws it. I'm like 2 years younger than you. Come on.
I don't know. To me, I always liked Welker. He was like my favorite guy that Brady threw to. Dude was a monster. You couldn't cover him. He was impossible. But anyways, in the draft, did you notice a couple names that look really familiar that were drafted?
Let me get
Asante Samuel.
I did not see that.
And Patrick Surtain. Yeah, it's Asante Samuel's kid and Patrick Surtain's kid.
Oh, really?
They got drafted in the first and second round. So feel old. Like I was like, Asante Samuel. So he's a play for the Pats. I'm like, oh, it's his kid. Holy crap, his kid's in the league now. So that
I don't know the other name you mentioned.
He was a cornerback for the Chiefs, Patrick Surtain. He was a Pro Bowler. He was really good, and his kid went like 9th overall. So he's apparently really good as well. I just thought that was cool because I was like, man, I'm getting old now. Like the players' kids are in the league that I grew up watching. Like this is not good.
What do you think of the Jets picking up Zach Wilson? Do you think they're going to totally ruin him? And how many years is it going to take? Just one or two?
Two.
I love how it's not. Does he have a chance to get good? It's how long will it take?
How about this question? What team is going to take a flyer on him after the Jets ruin him?
Yeah, let's see. Actually, who would need one? I'm looking at the board now.
Buccaneers.
Oh,
I mean,
that's not bad. That's not bad.
That's not a bad take. They're gonna need him.
Maybe Denver after Aaron Rodgers retires in a couple of years.
Is that where so do you think he'll end up in Denver?
No.
See, I just love the idea of him going to Denver because it makes sense because they can be really aggressive and they have had a history of pulling in star quarterbacks and giving them championships at the end of their career. Like that's the Denver MO.
So how do you think this is going to play out then with Rodgers? Do you think he's going to hold true to his word and retire?
No.
He's going to suck it up and play for the Packers.
Yeah.
The boring option.
Yep.
Yeah. The boring
100%
the boring safe option.
That's what's going to happen. At least
Yep.
that's
And
what I
then
think.
and then next year, I think he'll consider doing something big.
Dang. Freaking, he's a crybaby sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
A
it's
lot.
just like
So, also a question: Devonta Smith, the Heisman winner,
Yes,
Yeah.
I was going to get to this.
stats machine extraordinaire. Do we think who's starting in Philly next year? Who's starting QB in Philly?
Who do they have again?
They have.
oh,
what's his face?
Carson Wentz isn't there anymore, right?
Jalen Hurt.
Jalen Hurts.
That's it.
And
Who's the other guy? Because Wentz is gone.
yeah, I know it's
Shoot.
Hang on, I'm looking up.
Hang on, listeners, we're listening. I mean, we're looking, and you're probably screaming at us.
It's this guy. It's this guy.
I'm assuming Jalen Hurts probably still going to be the starter. That's what I'm going to make the assumption.
Oh, it's
with.
Jalen Hurts and Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, because he came from the Jets.
Flacco's not going to get the start.
No, so
it'll be Hurt.
Jalen Hurts is not very accurate. Do we think Devonta Smith's going to have this like breakout rookie year that he should, or did he end up on a cursed team that got lucky one year that's just bad at picking quarterbacks?
Can he help them get more accurate?
No.
As in, can he get? Isn't he tall? Doesn't he have some size? Like, can he get up there and catch? That's what I mean. Like,
we're talking.
Can he get up there and catch the ball? Like, can he make plays that make him? I don't mean make him more accurate, as in like, hey, throw this ball a little
like
straighter for me, but
I know what you mean. Yeah,
like complete the pass on his end.
Yeah, good hands.
I do think that with Jalen Hurts as your quarterback, though, he's not going to be a stats machine throwing the ball. He's not going to get you a crazy amount of passing yards.
Right, he's going to be the RPO.
Right. So, I mean, I think because of that, you won't see Devontae put up a ton of numbers. Oh,
what?
he's small.
How tall is he?
So he's 6'1", but he only weighs 170 pounds. He's a stick. Holy crap.
Huh.
Dude's a twig. Like, I'm looking at him now, his legs are like this big.
Well, he's really good at catching a football, so.
But yeah, no, I mean, he's talented. So, I mean, he's a talented receiver. Was definitely the best in the NCAA, but the way Hurts plays, and I think he could still win games because he's athletic and can run, but he's not going to be a guy who throws 300 plus yards a game. So because of that, I think Smith's potential numbers will be down. They're not going to be mind blowing.
Right. I only ask because we have a draft coming up in our fantasy league.
Oh crap! I need to download that app again.
Yeah, it's coming up.
When is that?
I think he put it for 28 more days or something like that. I forget.
We're doing it that early, huh?
Well, it was supposed to be the day after the draft ended.
Oh man, good thing I was not paying attention to that at all.
I got a new phone and never downloaded the app.
Anyways, yeah. So I just some of these, it just goes with being so good in college to end up on such a bad team in the NFL. I just I feel bad for people like Zach Wilson, who's obviously a really good quarterback, who's just going to a place where people go to die.
Yeah,
he's going to death. Yeah,
it sucks.
Like that stinks for him. Hopefully, before he has given all of everything he's got and gotten injured a bunch. Hopefully, before that happens, he can get to a better team. And like Trevor Lawrence, Jaguars have potential at some point to be good because they have a really good GM.
I trust the Jaguars more than I trust the
that's why I think like if
Jets.
Talking about like who won, I think if just with the pick of Trevor Lawrence, if he turns out to be anything close to what he's supposed to be, the Jags probably like won. If he is who they say he is, that could turn that franchise around for years. Because I think like it is better he ended up there than the Jets.
Oh yeah,
it's way better.
Absolutely,
yeah, 100%.
That would have been so weird if the Jags went with somebody else. But
What do
yeah.
you guys think of the Colts? They drafted a defensive end, and they drafted an offensive lineman. Was a couple of their picks. I was talking to Devin yesterday.
Well, the Colts. I mean, even from what we saw last year, they have a great core team.
And they
They
just got
do.
Carson Wentz, who used to play for Frank Wright as an offensive coordinator. So
And
assuming the thing that needs to be that needs to happen is
right,
Carson Wentz needs
like
to stay upright.
yes, and there's no doubt he didn't play well last year. Um, yeah, he sucked last year, but you've seen him in years where he plays very, very well. So there's always that chance he
Mhm.
could go back to that form because I mean they have a great running game. Um, they have two great running backs. They have a solid wide receiving core. They have a great defense, a top tier defense. They had all. I mean, they were a playoff team last year. Um, so they got a great core. So if like Wentz can pick himself up and put the pieces back together, like that's a playoff team. They have a strong squad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Do we have anything else we want to talk about with the draft? I think the draft was really interesting, and I like the drama around the draft. I think the Aaron Rodgers thing is something we're going to want to follow
Yeah.
going over the next couple weeks. And I am excited for football to come back. I think all the other
Oh,
sports right
I
now have
know.
got me pretty well entertained, but it was nice to get the draft. Is nice. It's just like
NFL is king,
it's
man.
like an appetizer,
Mm.
but like not just an appetizer. It's like an onion or like one of those onion stacks from Red Robin or like a
A
cactus
blooming onion.
blossom from Texas Roadhouse, and you already have the buns there because the free
Yeah.
agency starting. So like you're full by the time the regular season starts, but dang it, you're gonna eat anyways.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like it. But anyways,
Facts.
let's talk
It's
about
okay.
the
Soon,
MNBA.
we'll be in OTAs. There'll be training camps. They
It'll be
dish it
100
out
degrees
slowly.
out. We'll be sweating like pigs, but loving it because
Yeah.
football's back.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
Straight up.
And then as far as the NBA, there has been some things lately that have been very interesting and shaking things up. The first one is that this LeBron James injury to his ankle, it's no joke. He was out for 6 weeks, and during that time, the Lakers they were not playing well. They were dropping a lot of games. They were dropping in seeding, and so he decided last week to try to come back earlier, and he did. He played in 2 games. They lost both the games. Again, this is with AD and LeBron because AD came back, and LeBron just he did not play well. You could tell he was still hurt because I mean I saw a lot of the highlights of those 2 games, and he was getting the ball stripped from him. He just looked out of it. He looked like a guy who hadn't played in 6 weeks, and it looked bad. And so he played on the ankle. It got worse. So now he's actually sitting out more games. And he said this. He said, "My ankle may never be the same again."
I heard that. Yeah, I
And
did
I
hear
was like,
that.
"Oh." Now
Don't you feel like that's
part of
LeBroning
me
it?
that's a little like I I'm kind of a little annoyed because it seems like he's almost setting the stage for if they don't win. It's like, well, it's my ankle. Like my ankle went bad, and so I'm like, dude, you're the self-proclaimed and most general consensus like best player on the planet. You
I got
can't
a
just
question
say,
for you.
"Hey, what's up?"
Would Michael Jordan say something like that
No,
to
he
set himself
wouldn't.
up? Okay,
He would
good.
never say that. And so that's what kind of annoying because I'm kind of like, dude, it's a high ankle sprain. High ankle sprains suck. They do. They're horrible. People recover from high ankle sprains. And I get you're 36, so maybe it'll be a little longer, but it's not like you blew out your ACL
Right.
or something. To me, it almost sounded like he was using it as an excuse because he sees the writing on the wall. He sees that they haven't been playing well, that they are not a lock for winning anything, and so he's like, "Well, I have to save face, and so I'm going to start planting stories now that it's my ankle, it's messed up, I can't recover. This is
I'm
it."
never gonna be the same again.
Right, and
Hey,
that's
go
gonna
watch my movie coming out soon. That I'll
exactly.
stay relevant in your hearts that way.
Yeah, so that annoyed me a little bit because I'm pretty sure that's what he's doing, and he's done that stuff. He's done that crap in his career before.
Off
Um,
topic, did you guys watch the trailer for Space Jam?
Yeah.
I did. I'll
I
watch it.
actually laughed at
I'll
it. I
watch it.
will probably go
Oh
watch
yeah.
it.
I'm gonna see
Truthfully,
that 100%.
I'll watch it. a lot of it's like nostalgia. Like, I've seen the first one, got to see the second one.
Yeah.
That and I've always liked Looney Tunes, so like
Yeah,
Bugs
it'll
Bunny
be
is
funny.
Bugs Bunny's just timeless, no matter what. As long as you got like anvils falling and duck season, rabbit season, fire, and all that stupid stuff, I'm gonna be laughing.
As long as Elmer Fudd doesn't have a gun, I'm fine.
Oh yeah, you can't have a gun. No.
Oh, is that one of the things they took out?
No, I know this is one of the things that intrigued me is that not Elmer Fudd, but who's the other guy that's got the guns? The little he's got the two little pistols.
The Texas dude.
The Texas guy, yeah. He had
Yeah.
guns and he was shooting up, and that's what made me chuckle. He did something really stupid with it, and it made me laugh.
Yeah, and then the skunk guy's gone.
Pepe Le
Yeah,
Pew.
well, honestly, I was watching Looney Tunes with my son maybe a year ago. I'm like, these Pepe Le
I'm
Pew
not
ones
gonna
are
lie,
not okay.
I'm glad that rapey little skunk is gone.
They were not okay. Like, and I said that to somebody like, well, that's how men used to act back in Europe back in that time. I said, yeah, how does that make this any better?
Okay?
Like, what?
Yeah, it's like so. Like,
so you meant this was a reality and not just a cartoon? Yeah, great.
Oh, I feel so bad for women.
oh yeah, people used to be racist back in the day, so it's fine if they're racist. It's like, no, that's not okay. You can't use that excuse.
So now back to basketball really quick here. I've seen a little bit of controversy about this play-in tournament.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you a question. Who thought that was a great idea last year?
Well, initially they introduced it last year because of the bubble. When all the teams came back, they played what I think an 8-game mini regular season, and then to kind of give other teams a chance to catch up, they instituted like a play-in for the last two. I think it was like the 8 seed, the 9 seed, and the 10 seed. 7, 8, 9, and 10 do like a play-in for the last 2 spots. So I thought it was initially going to be just for the bubble, and then all of a sudden I found out that they're doing that again this year. So I'm wondering if this is going to be what they do from now on.
Right.
It's only among those teams, right?
Yeah, it's the 7, 8, 9, and 10 seed will go into a mini play-in tournament, and then the top 2 from that tournament will get the final.
We'll lose in the first round.
It's like the wild card game.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
so
exactly what it is.
I don't understand what the point.
Well,
I mean,
the
I get that this year's the anomaly because the Lakers might be there with LeBron James.
Well, so last year LeBron
point.
loved it. He loved. Oh, sorry, that's where you were going.
Yeah,
you can take it, Tyler.
So LeBron last year was like, "This is such a great idea." He thought it was awesome, and now that they're about to be the 7th seed, maybe they're in danger of falling to that 7th seed and being,
right now,
and being in that play-in tournament. LeBron's like, I think it's a really dumb idea. Like, this is stupid. Why are we doing this? It's like, dude, how many times? Like, I know you flop on the court, but you can't flop to the media because we have you recorded. I just thought that was wicked funny. Oh, I thought that was so funny. His flip-floppiness with that. Oh, it's just too funny.
Yeah,
I think play-ins like that.
About it.
I think plans like that work for sports that you don't really know what's going to happen in the playoffs. And I realize you don't really know in any sport, but as we've kind of already talked about, basketball is one of those sports where, like, when you have talent and you have home court, it's basically a formality for the early rounds. So why would you care to play in? It's almost better not to, right? Because then you would have a higher pick in the draft. But I know they do a lottery, so like, isn't the worst place to be in the MLB in the middle, or the MLB, the NBA in the middle?
Mhm.
Like, don't you want to be in the bottom so you get more probability at the lottery, or in the top so you win everything? But if you're like in the middle playing into the playoffs, like, why are you, like, it's horrible.
Mhm.
You're just gonna be there to lose in the first. What do you get? Bragging rights for losing in the first round? Yay! We still kind of suck.
Made it to the playoffs.
Yeah, I didn't even know they were still carrying that into this year until recently when they broke that. I was like, oh, they're still doing it. They're doing a play-in. I don't know why. I don't know if maybe they experimented with it in the bubble and they just, all right, well, we're gonna do this forever now.
Yeah.
I like the baseball play-in. Your best pitcher versus my best pitcher. Let's see who gets in. That's cool. That's a good game.
It's as far as like the 1 seed versus 8 seed in NBA, baseball, anything could happen. Like, you could have those like teams who aren't as good just surprise everyone.
Yeah, like the Red Sox in 04, they're a wild card team. Whoop whoop.
Right, and so that happens more in baseball. Whereas the NBA, the 8 seed's never beating a 1 seed. I think it's happened like once or twice in the history of the NBA. That's it. So it's kind of a foregone conclusion. But yeah, he's being all petty about it now because they're in danger of falling into that bracket, and it doesn't suit him. Yeah, he got me really annoyed this past week. Just with some of the stuff he was saying. I mean, I'm a LeBron fan, but just a couple of those things, I'm just like, all right, dude, calm down.
Yeah.
I try really hard to like him as I've gotten to know basketball more, and how he like basically just is the embodiment of every basketball player. I just can't stand I need to play better. I need to put the team on my back. But that's just how basketball is. So I've kind of accepted that with the stars of that league. And then then he talks like this, and it's like,
Yeah.
you're not the greatest thing to ever walk the face of the earth. I happen to
Yep.
know the greatest thing that ever walked the face of the earth, and
Jesus.
you're not him. Your high ankle sprain pales in comparison, sir.
Something a lot of people hate about him is his like social activist stances.
I like that part about him, actually.
I love that about him. When somebody told him to shut up and dribble, and he was just and he was like,
oh
and
yeah,
he was like, absolutely not, because like, I'm an American, like I can say what I want.
That was Laura Ingraham on Fox News told him that. I watched that live. I was at work or something.
Cringe.
I flipped the channel, and I deal with people that want to watch one thing or the other, so I flipped by it, and that was on.
Shut up!
That's just that is such cringe to say that to somebody. And I just really appreciate the platform that he has. He uses it for really good things. And talk about somebody who's a class act outside of the court. You could say all you want about his attitude and stuff like that, but the dude still
I promise
he still gives millions of dollars to kids.
Yeah.
He still sends kids to college.
Yeah. Yep. I promise Laura Ingraham would not have been saying shut up and dribble if he was an activist about the NRA.
Right.
Guaranteed.
Oh, yeah.
But because he was an activist about Black Lives Matter and about, the unfortunate continuing plight and very real racism in our country, he needs to just dribble his basketball.
Yeah,
it's so stupid. How
I
cringe is that?
When I heard when it came out that she said that, I was like, what?
What an idiot.
It's just such bad optics. Like, white woman tells black guy, African American guy, shut up and dribble basketball. Yikes. Like, how are you not fired?
Yikes.
It's like, that's why there's these movements. It's because of that.
Exactly.
You're literally giving us the reasons behind everything. So way to go. Anyways, just real quick, the Nets are in a skid right now. They've lost 3 in a row. That's with KD and Kyrie both playing. And honestly, they've kind of found a kryptonite with the Bucks that I've noticed.
KD and Kyrie, not James Harden.
No, Harden's got a tweaked hammy, so he's been out for a bit. But they found a little bit of a kryptonite in the Bucks. I've looked at because they've lost 2 straight now to them, and I looked at the record against the Bucks this year, and they have a losing record against them. They can't stop Giannis down low. I mean, KD's tall, which is great, but he's a twig, and Giannis just bullies them down low. Like, his stats against the Nets are crazy. Sorry, I had a little stroke there. But no, like, you look at his numbers and he just does whatever he wants against them. And so I think if they were to meet in the playoffs, judging by what the record is in the regular season, I don't know if they could beat them in a 7-game series, which is good for the league.
It's great love it if that team choked. Oh my gosh!
Isn't that's like, you want to watch that now?
Oh yeah.
They could lose.
You're telling me that the 2 big star teams both choke their way out of the playoffs, and it might be something halfway interesting?
What I'm saying. It might actually be like interesting. Like, you have the Suns and the Jazz have the best records in the league.
It's too good to be true.
I know. It's all of a sudden
not going to happen. It's too good to be true. Nope. I do not believe it. Nope. I will not give myself that false sense of hope.
Eric hates hoping for things like.
Is there a silver lining?
You are so protective of your hope.
It is kind of.
You're absolutely right. I am very protective.
I would rather be let down than live in the little bubble shell.
Ball of hope. He's just
because you know what? When it comes to some things, I put my hope way out there. But when it comes to like sports, things are predictable. So like, I want to hope for it, and I will dream about it. I promise you, but I will not engage until It actually, in this setting, it will not. I will not engage until it actually happens, and then I will be all geeked up to know what happens next.
I respect
Boo.
that. But I think it's exciting to see like there's little things in the NBA like playoffs coming up that might change things up. Like the Jazz and the Suns are playing great ball right now, and I don't know. Like I honestly don't know the way the Lakers are playing, and depending on how LeBron is, I don't think the Lakers could beat either of them. Like the Suns are a legit team. They're they already play a very slow pace, which is playoff pace basketball. Like they're already playing playoff ball and how they run the offense. They're top 10 offense, top 10 defense, good shooters. They got Chris Paul and they got Devin Booker, who are two clutch like closers. They have a legitimate shot to
Just
come
think
out of the
about this
West.
for a minute. If the Phoenix Suns win the NBA championship and they have a parade, who would actually attend it? First of all, I need to give you the right context. They're in Phoenix, Arizona, and this would probably be late June, early July. So, just for context, it would be still during COVID. So, I don't know what kind of parade they would have. And even if they
That's
had
true.
one, it'd be 118 degrees outside.
Yeah.
But thirdly, and most importantly, do they have fans? Do people are there season ticket holders for the Suns?
They do. So that's actually one of the things they're actually lobbying to the NBA right now because in their state, in the state of Arizona, they are able to have, I think, at least up to half capacity in their stadiums. But the NBA is overruling that and saying you can't. You can only have 1,500 people like come into the fans. But fans are clamoring to go to the game, and so the Suns now are lobbying to the NBA to try to hey, can you like let us open up to what our state is allowing so we can actually get fans to come in here, especially because they're thinking in playoffs they're going to have home court advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
I
want
actually
that.
think that's a good thing because I
Yeah,
know in hockey, the Islanders are only going to have like 15% or 10% capacity, while the Bruins will have 25%. And if they face each other, hockey's a little bit different with the home playoff thing. Like, the crowd isn't as into it. It's not as much of a big thing, but like, the whole idea of playing to a crowd is it's almost unfair for the teams or the leagues to say, yeah, just do whatever the states say, so that you could have, and especially in places where, or in sports it matters, like basketball, I think it matters a little bit more, and certainly football. Like, can you
Yeah.
imagine?
oh yeah,
And I thought that
oh
was
yeah,
kind of crap anyways this past year. Like, the Patriots play to an empty stadium or mostly empty stadium, but you go to Kansas City and the place is relatively packed. Like, I
Yeah.
felt like that was
yeah. They had a half.
fairly unfair for the league to say, just let it go however it's going to go, and whatever states decide they're going to decide. Which, again, I get the whole hands off thing, but now you're artificially making unfair home field advantage things happen.
That's
So
true.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I get it
Right.
from like a perspective of selling tickets, and if you have fans they want to come, but if the Lakers or the Clippers can only play to 1,500 people, but they have to face the Suns, and then they go to the Sun Stadium and there's 50,000 people. Not that there would be, but you know what I mean.
Right.
Like, I don't know is that fair? And I get that
True.
sports aren't fair, but is there that line between sports aren't fair and sports are
Yeah. Well, it is the league's job
abstractly
to make
unfair?
sure
Yeah.
it's
Right.
fair across the board. That's the league's job. Is this? So that's actually a good point. But I do know that the Suns obviously are. They're trying to lobby for that.
I just can't
So
believe they have fans.
yeah, it seems like that's what they're. I was just reading some stuff on it, and it's the fans are like, no, we want to come back. So, I mean, they haven't been to a championship game in what 54 years. So I think they'd show up,
They've been around for 54 years.
and yeah, and
I didn't
they
know
haven't been
that
to the
either.
playoffs. They haven't been to the playoffs, and I think it might be like, is it for the state in general, like a professional championship? I just remember seeing something 54 years, and they haven't been to the playoffs in 11. So it's been a long time.
Mm.
So I think fans would be really excited.
Going back to our like conversation last week about sports cities, like Phoenix just doesn't hit me with that. Like, I feel like any team in
True.
Phoenix is like, the Tampa Bay Rays. Like, they got 5 people in the stands, and those 5 people are actually Red Sox fans that just wanted cheap tickets. They flew down to Tampa Bay. Like,
Yep. No, I agree with. I forgot about Phoenix. But yeah, that is one that's kind of like, do you really need a team?
Tyler, what are you looking at? What are you looking around like? Oh,
Nothing.
You have a very inquisitive. He's like,
No, I'm just.
look
No,
over
I was
here.
just
Look over here.
checking to make sure everything's recording right.
You doing all right, buddy?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure?
This whole time our mics have been off.
How you feeling this week, Tyler?
Extra tired because never mind. I can't say that live.
All right. Well, on that note, for all of our people who are listening, we are all over the place. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Let your friends know. Let your family know. Share the good news. Share the word that we are there. We also have social media accounts. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at the Under.500 podcast, and send us DMs on either of those accounts. If you have any questions for us, comments, any suggestions, we'd love to hear from you and to engage with you. And yeah, so that's it for that announcement. Gentlemen, another week in the books.
Mm-hmm.
Another good week. And to our listeners, we look forward to hanging out with you guys again next week. In the meantime, have a good one.
See you, everybody.
Have a good week.